Some stretches to Azusa, more slowing ahead in Pomona from the 57 freeway in pockets all the way into Calamasa. 15 northbound in the Cajon Pass, delays at the 215 merge, better by Cleghorn.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Is this the time?
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Chargers signed veteran linebacker Khalil Mack to a one-year contract worth $18 million. The 34-year-old Mack is coming back for his 12th NFL season, his fourth with the Chargers. One of the reasons Mack wanted to re-sign with the Chargers is to hopefully improve his playoff record. For all that Mack has accomplished in the NFL, including Defensive Player of the Year in 2016, he has never won a playoff game. The 9-time Pro Bowler is 0-5 in the playoffs. The main agenda item for the Oklahoma City Thunder heading into Game 4 Friday night is making Shai Gilgeous-Alexander more productive in the fourth quarter. The NBA MVP had only one basket and 3 attempts in the fourth quarter Wednesday night and no assists. Shutting down SGA was a key factor in Indiana's victory in Game 2. The Pacers take a 2-1 lead into Game 4 in Indianapolis. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader.
KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader.
If you're not following KBLA Talk 1580 on all of our socials, then you're missing out. Download our app and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on the web at KBLA 1580.
That's right.
Again, you can find all of our socials at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
By the way, if you miss any of our weekday shows in real time, you can always catch up by checking out the podcast of your favorite shows at your leisure. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Got your blood.
Follow the leader.
Following the leader.
Oh my God. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
Shine, flies, no time to waste while it's passing you by. Shine, flies, be patient, 'cause good things happen in time. We gon' get it right, we gon' get it right, we gon' get it right. We gon' get it right.
Protests and anthems, yes, we chanting a movement of people. It's like we dancing to the ministry of. It's the energy of, in memory of them that we love. The trinity of the people, the peace, the power, the truth. We speak the powers even louder. We can say it blacker, we can say it prouder. A woman vice president that went to Howard. Now we talk helping black businesses, and our differences is magnificent. Bringing light to the point where the prisons is. I was told good life is where forgiveness lives. The ascension is to leave what's left behind and feed the seeds with deeds that bless the mind, caress the mind, and question justify. With you and God in time, I best align.
Shining, flies, no time to waste.
You are listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai, your host and White House correspondent, joining you live from New York City today. In case you're wondering, well, why is he in New York City today? What's happening in New York City? Weren't you just in LA? Yes, I was just in LA, and I'll be back in LA in short order. But I am here in New York City today because last night, Native Son hosted the Native Son Awards. And guess what? They honored Coleman Domingo. They honored Dr. David Johns of National Black Justice Coalition. They honored a number of folks last night that are doing extraordinary work, representing the Black community, representing the queer community. And it was important to come out and be in community. Don Lemon hosted the event. It was a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful experience, and we'll be talking about it more in the coming days. But that's why I'm here in New York City, because here on the More Perfect Union, we believe in showing up. You got to pull up. And you've heard me say this on air and off many a times. I believe that no matter what's happening in our communities, what's happening in our country, what's happening in the world, I think the surest way to the other side of what we're experiencing is together in community. And so if you haven't, make time to be in community with your friends, with your family, with your church or place of worship or whatever it is, right? It could be your meetup group, your knitting group, your friends over at the library. But, don't do this thing called life all by yourself. Now, it's time for your national news roundup. It's time for you to decide the good, bad, and ugly headlines of the day. And listen, there's a lot of ugly headlines, particularly coming out of California. The LA Times reporting there's an eerie silence that's hanging over the Central Coast farm fields in the wake of the ice raids. At 6 a.m. Wednesday morning, they write about Juvenal Solano. He was driving slowly along cracked roads that border the fields of strawberry and celery these strawberry and celery fields in Ventura County. And he noted an eerie silence that hung over the morning. The workers who would typically be shuffling up and down the strawberry rows were largely absent. And the entry gates to many area farms were shut and locked. Still, Solano, who's the director of the Mixteco Indigena Community Organizing Project, he felt relieved. Silence was better than the chaos that had broken out on Tuesday when immigration agents raided fields in Oxnard and I don't know what's going on, but I'm just going to call it.
Don't do that. Don't do it. That's what I said. Just restart your computer. Shut your Wi-Fi back on.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. Listen, we had a little technical difficulty, but don't you worry. When we come forward, we're going to be talking with Todd Belcour. He is a civil rights attorney and executive director of social change in Chicago, and get to the bottom of some of these headlines that are trending. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. You ready?
Somebody make some noise in this joint.
KBLA Talk 1580 celebrates its 4th anniversary this year on Juneteenth.
Here we go again.
Hard to believe 4 years has gone by so fast.
Oh my God.
But here we are, still standing, still loving and serving our people as best we can.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
To celebrate our 4th anniversary, we have 4 big events, and you're invited to all of them.
She got a lot to say. Let's do this.
Let's get it on.
On Wednesday, June 18th, we go live on C-SPAN for the 2nd consecutive year with our Climate Justice Plus Black Health Symposium. Tavis Smiley will moderate an all-star panel of thinkers and influencers as we continue our vitally important climate justice work.
Hey, Tavis Smiley, talk about.
On Thursday, June 19th, you're invited to join us as we celebrate Juneteenth and our 4th anniversary. There will be plenty of food, fun, great music, good vibes, and all of your favorite KBLA Talk 1580 host will be there.
Yeah, man.
Flip the beat. On Saturday, June 21st, there are 2 big events you're invited to attend.
I can't wait to hear it.
This year, KBLA Talk 1580 continues its annual partnership with the Empowerment Congress for a community celebration and dialogue to educate, engage, and empower. This year's theme is Resilience in the Face of Chaos.
Can't wait to see what's up next.
Y'all ain't ready for this.
And new this year is our State of Black Women in Los Angeles Symposium, moderated by Dominique DePrima, with a luncheon to follow. Dominique will be leading a dialogue with some of the most impactful Black women leaders in Los Angeles, and you're invited to join.
This is it.
All of these events are free, but seating is limited, so you must register in advance at our KBLA1580.com website, where you can find all the details you need about each event.
Check it out.
It's our 4th anniversary, and we would love to celebrate it with you.
I love you guys so much. There's nothing you can do about it.
We're KBLA Talk 1580.
The only black talk radio station west of the Mississippi.
Thank you for having our black.
Happy anniversary, KBLA.
We love you. Love you.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. Police-related death includes in-custody deaths, including those that arise during contact with law enforcement officers during arrest, pursuit, booking, transport, or incarceration. The Autopsy Initiative has a team of board-certified pathologists on call. An autopsy request may be completed by anyone with a close relationship with the victim, which may include the victim's spouse, partner, relative, close friend, or lawyer. To request a free second autopsy for a victim of police violence, please visit knowyourrightscamp.com. That's knowyourrightscamp.com. Then click on Autopsy, then click on Request. At KBLA, we believe in justice for victims of police violence. We say their names, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds. Everyone's on them. If you're a 40-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term life insurance may only cost you about $100 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-352-9239. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To build $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-352-9239. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-352-9239. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. For affordable term life insurance, call 800-352-9239. 800-352-9239.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a Black and Brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. Or find them on Instagram at walkgoodla. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
One, thank you.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, Black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text EQUAL to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text EQUAL to 321-321. That's EQUAL to 321-321.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you, when we fight, we win. The Youth Justice Coalition is challenging America's addiction to incarceration and discrimination. YJC works to dismantle policies leading to mass incarceration, law enforcement violence, and the school-to-prison pipeline. Their approach? Transformative justice, community intervention, free LA high school, legal defense, and system monitoring. YJC promotes safety without relying on prisons. Their goal? Prevent system contact and help people exit the system through direct action, advocacy, and education. Want to get involved or need help? Call 323-235-4243. That's 323-235-4243. Join YJC in creating change. When we fight, we win. KBLA Talk 1580, your voice for justice. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
We have no permanent friends or permanent enemies. Only permanent interests as we effort to build a more perfect union.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai, and he is Todd Belcourt, the Executive Director of Social Change. Todd, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here, Doctor. Always good to be with you and your listeners.
Well, so always good to have you here and always great to be with you to help make it make sense. Today, one of the biggest trending stories, Senator Alex Padilla of California being detained by ICE agents over at the press conference for Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem in Los Angeles. I've never seen a sitting United States senator detained at a press conference and pushed on the floor face first at this hour. What do you know, and what can you tell us about what should be the fallout from this?
I mean, there's no question. Not only, for you to not have seen it, given your extensive political experience, shows how completely abhorrent and not much of an aberration it is for it to take place. But people's eyes aren't lying. What they're seeing online, what they're seeing on C-SPAN, is the abject deprivation of basic human rights. They're seeing the criminalization of basic oppositional thought. And anytime you have a system, a community, a government that arrests and criminalizes behavior simply associated with just thinking differently or disagreeing, that is the road to authoritarianism. So I think People are right to be concerned, but people are also right to be panicked at this point and wonder if they can do this to a U.S. senator who has the cameras, the security detail, millions of voters behind them, and all the interests and protections in the world in terms of what you expect from just being a public official. Imagine what's happening to the people who are in the fields. Imagine what's happening to the people who are in the schools. Imagine what's happening to people in the daycares who have none of those protections, who share a similar hue, share maybe a similar story, and the terror and concern that they're feeling right now. So for people who are waiting for something like this to happen to someone who looks like them to get involved, shame on you. This is your time to be activated and recognize what's happening to any of us is happening to all of us, and do something meaningful to address the issue that's going on around in the nation.
Yeah, and look, there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of fear out there. Right before the break, I referenced an LA Times article that a lot of folks have been sharing. There's an eerie silence that's hanging over the Central Coast farm fields in the wake of these ice raids, celery farms, strawberry farms, all sorts of farms where we're not seeing field workers show up in mass as they did just a few days ago. And so, talk to us, about some of the implications for our economy, not just in California, but across the country. There are a lot of people that rely on farming in California to feed this country, to feed the world. And if farm workers are afraid to show up, that may show up on the next grocery bill, no?
Absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, when people look at this footage, they see a U.S. senator being treated like a criminal just for speaking out, just for standing up. But you also have to imagine the chilling effect, as you documented, for people in the community, for people who are working the farms, for people responsible for our food ecosystem. And if you take those people out, you're talking about hundreds of thousands of workers. You can imagine how quickly the entire ecosystem collapsed. So we can't afford to pay people full-time, uh, wages, $16, $17 an hour, livable wages. So we're paying people from other countries to come and work the land at a discount for unpaid, sometimes unpaid wages. So we're now targeting those people. We're now chasing them, making people feel scared for terror for their lives. Of course, it's going to have an impact not only on those families, but also to the extent that people only worry about when it affects their pockets, certainly in their pocketbook and in the grocery stores, where celery that now was being raised and harvested for $12 an hour now is $20 an hour. Imagine how much that's going to cost. And the groceries have already gotten, completely out of pocket in terms of expense. This is only going to make things worse in that regard as well.
And speaking of making things worse, just a little bit ago on the show, I was talking about the sale of 23andMe, the direct-to-consumer company that had made a fortune collecting people's personal identifiable information, connecting them with relatives that they didn't have, and alerting them to health challenges that they might have. Well, a lot of people are raising alarm about the fact that consumers really don't have the power to delete that data the way that they thought they would. But in Illinois, we're hearing that the Secretary of State's office says that law enforcement is using license plate reader data illegally. Just today, the Secretary of State in Illinois said that they will conduct an audit of the state's automated license plate reader system after it was allegedly used illegally by law enforcement in Texas to track down a woman for an abortion care related matter. And so talk to us about the danger of our personal identifiable information being out there and how that might be used to accelerate some of the more aggressive tactics we're seeing from not just local law enforcement, but the feds.
Yeah, one of the most delicate but important rights that are afforded by the Constitution in some of the presidential cases that have come before the Supreme Court is the right to privacy. And people don't recognize the way in which we have personally had a hand in eroding that right, whether it be the Patriot Act or others, or even submitting to forms that where we submit to Meta or to whatever other platform you may be involved in. But one place you expect your information to be completely private is certainly something as specific and unique as your DNA. I mean, you expect at a very minimum, not only do you sign documentation indicating that it'll be private, but you also expect just by basic understanding.
Yeah.
So I think when we talk about the issue of 23andMe and being bought, truly can't be thinking for any other purpose but the express purpose of getting access to all that data, people are right to be worried. And in some places where they don't have very high levels of affirmative privacy protection, California actually has pretty good protections for privacy, but places like Illinois actually do not. And that's why the Secretary of State was, targeted in this case, because they knew there's some information they could still gain access to without people having to opt in to provide that access.
And so, what can people do? I mean, I'm not a fan of succumbing to analysis paralysis or any sort of paralysis, but, what can people do to take their future, take their data into their own hands, especially folks who may have family members that have mixed immigration status? Nobody wants to be a part of making it easy for law enforcement to collect their family members, certainly not without due process.
Yeah, no one wants their family tree weaponized, right? I mean, at the end of the day, when people are engaging in this 23andMe process, it's trying to reconnect with family, trying to learn a little bit more, like you're saying, of their medical history, not so you could be subject to, the abject denial of constitutional rights afforded to every person on this country. So I think people can do a couple things. One is, 23andMe has an obligation to affirmatively respond to any request that any information that's available to them be completely unavailable to anyone unless they have a warrant. But that being said, given this current the structure of the judicial system at this point, that would still be cause for concern because the way in which people's due process rights are being abridged simply because of their appearance, it's easy to see a world where people are looking at last names and saying, well, I have suspicion that they're here illegally. Let me try to get a judge who's some sort of forum shopping to give permission to get access to this record. So for 23andMe to be in different hands, for 23andMe to be in the hands of a company of a new owner that may not care as much about those privacy rights, does give people reason for concern. This is why some of the old heads said, like, why would I give some of my DNA? Why would I give some of my fingerprints? And people are like, oh, you're overreacting. But this is the time you recognize the history and the things that were endured by our ancestors are repeating themselves. And there's a reason why people are so cautious in the first place.
That's right. That's right. We know there's going to be mass protests across the country this Saturday. Some folks calling it No King Day. Other folks like President Trump calling it his birthday. Big military parade happening in Washington, D.C. In about a minute. Tell us what social change your organization is doing and how folks can tap in.
Yeah, we're doing three things in the next week relating to Juneteenth, relating to Forever Fight for Freedom. First, having freedom and control of your food is the best pathway to freedom. So we have a mini farm. We're teaching people to grow their own food, helping people cultivate things, and addressing an issue of food insecurity in a community of Inglewood, in particular in the southwest side of Chicago. But also having a resource fair under the partnership and leadership of Barbara Deere and the Juneteenth Committee to make sure that the idea of freedom is made real for people who are being denied access to opportunity because of past mistakes, sealing criminal records so people can get the jobs, the housing, the businesses that their talent should be commanding versus what they're allowed. And finally, on June 19th itself, we're having a walk for freedom, making sure we celebrate the past accomplishments. There have been significant triumphs over the last 100, 150 years to celebrate. And Juneteenth is geared towards bringing attention to that, but also bringing more attention, bring more people, bring more energy around the current fights for freedom that are taking place right now in our streets. And No King's Day is an example of that. So certainly we are in favor in supporting all of our allies, our comrades who are fighting on the front lines to make sure people are not being deprived of their constitutional rights, their human rights. But to the extent that people are, a step behind that, now is the time to kind of sign that panic alarm, because what's happening now to them tonight is going to happen to us tomorrow. So let's get involved.
Our thanks to Todd Belcourt, Executive Director of Social Change, the organization. We thank you for your work and your witness. Please come back again soon.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, Doctor. I appreciate
you. We appreciate you. When we come forward, we join with Justin Carter, investigative correspondent for The Shade Room. He's going to give us the latest on the Diddy Trial. Plus, tributes continue to pour in for Ananda Lewis as the culture grieves her death. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
The audience is listening. Thought-provoking, eye-opening, heart-rendering. This is where authentic voices meet powerful discussions on culture, community, and change. This is where both voices matter. He's breaking boundaries, amplifying diverse perspectives, and tackling the issues that matter most to you. You're inside A More Perfect Union with Dr. Nii-Quartelai on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Black New York City Mayor Eric Adams says over 100,000 unregistered ghost vehicles have been removed from New York City streets since he took office.
This damage is unacceptable, and we will find the person who is involved.
Police say these untraceable cars, mopeds, and ATVs are dangerous and often tied to crime. Rapper Silento, known for the hit Watch Me Whip, Watch Me Nene, was sentenced to 30 years for killing his cousin. He pleaded guilty but mentally ill to manslaughter and other charges. He's been jailed since 2021, days after the shooting near Atlanta. And an anonymous woman is testifying that Sean Diddy Combs' adult parties continued even after his homes were raided by the FBI in March 2024. She says they happened in May, July, and August, and that she stayed with him until his September arrest. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Rosemead, this is on the 10 eastbound Delmar Avenue. A crash in the carpool lane sends you back from Eastern Avenue. Also, let's head out to the drive on the 605 northbound at Peck Road in Industry. 2 middle lanes are blocked due to a stall, slowing you down overall from the 105. And in Irvine, a wreck on the 405 southbound Jeffrey Road. These guys are out of lanes, but you're on the brakes, getting away from MacArthur Boulevard.
The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Chargers signed veteran linebacker Khalil Mack to a one-year contract worth $18 million. The 34-year-old Mack is coming back for his 12th NFL season, his fourth with the Chargers. One of the reasons Mack wanted to re-sign with the Chargers is to hopefully improve his playoff record. For all that Mack has accomplished in the NFL, including Defensive Player of the Year in 2016, he has never won a playoff game. The 9-time Pro Bowler is 0-5 in the playoffs. The main agenda item for the Oklahoma City Thunder heading into Game 4 Friday night is making Shai Gilgeous-Alexander more productive in the fourth quarter. The NBA MVP had only 1 basket and 3 attempts in the fourth quarter Wednesday night and no assists. Shutting down SGA was a key factor in Indiana's victory in Game 2. The Pacers take a 2-1 lead into Game 4 in Indianapolis. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader.
KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader.
If you're not following KBLA Talk 1580 on all of our socials, then you're missing out. Download our app and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on the web at KBLA 1580.
That's right.
Again, you can find all of our socials at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
By the way, if you miss any of our weekday shows in real time, you can always catch up by checking out the podcasts of your favorite shows at your leisure. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Got your black. Follow the leader. Oh my God. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
Hi, I'm LA City Councilman Curran Price, inviting you to join us on Saturday, June the 14th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. as we cut the ribbon on the brand new Enel Woods Park at 8703 South McKinley Avenue. Thanks to a generous donation from Heal the Bay, the park features smart irrigation, stormwater capture systems, and space for local wildlife to thrive. And we've built a walking trail, picnic areas, native landscaping, and quiet spaces for families to gather, relax, and connect. This is part of a much larger effort to expand green spaces across South LA with 3 new parks in the works, a first of its kind community center coming soon, and plans to connect it all through the South LA Greenway. So mark your calendar for Saturday, June 14th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. and come celebrate a greener, stronger South LA at NL Woods Park. I'm also pleased to sponsor the Climate Justice Plus Black Health Symposium, moderated by Tavis Smiley, live on C-SPAN, Wednesday, June the 18th, from 4 to 7 p.m. at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center. Just a reminder to sign up right away at the KBLA1580.com website to join me, Mayor Karen Bass, Congresswoman Sidney Kamlager-Dove, Tennessee State Representative Justin Pearson, Dr. Cornel West, former Congressman Jesse Jackson Jr., the Sierra Club's Ben Jealous, and other Black influencers in the climate and health fields, as we continue to amplify the connection between climate and poor health outcomes for our people. Thank you for listening. I'm Councilman Curran Price.
Hey, I am D.L. Hughley, host of the D.L. Hughley Afternoon Show, heard weekdays from 2 to 4, exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580. I promise to make you think a little, but laugh a whole lot more. So tune in to the D.L. Hughley Afternoon Show, 2 to 4, only on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio that's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Hit me!
National news of consequence, informed opinion,
and analysis beyond the headlines.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai, and really delighted to welcome back Justin Carter. He's a senior correspondent over at the Shade Room and investigative correspondent, I should say. And he's had his finger on the pulse of all the happenings at the Diddy trial. Welcome to the show, Justin.
Hello, Dr. Q. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, hanging in there, keeping up on the latest with Diddy, like you mentioned. A lot has happened in the last 5 weeks. And it's explosive testimony. We're hearing from a number of girlfriends, former girlfriends, the most recent girlfriend of Diddy recently. So there's been a lot that's been happening.
Well, let's dig all the way into it. But first things first, CNN is reporting that Kanye West wants to attend the Diddy Combs trial to support Combs in court. You can't make this stuff up. Kanye says that he's been in touch with Diddy, with Diddy's family, rather, about possibly attending the ongoing criminal trial to show his support. A source close to Combs told CNN that West is currently in New York City. He did not attend Thursday's court proceedings, but would like to attend to show Combs support. Is Diddy welcoming Ye with open arms?
You know what? I was just thinking about it. I don't know if that is the best strategy right now. Welcoming Ye into the mix. Could it be possibly a distraction for the jurors? Could it be a distraction for the media? I'm not 100% sure. What will Kanye say? What will be his demeanor? Is this a good idea? From, as a defense attorney, would I want Kanye there? Not sure, Doc. I don't know about this.
And one thing that we are sure about, Christian Combs and Ye are currently working on music together. And so, might this come off as just a cheap publicity stunt?
Oh, could be. His kids, his children. Of course, you said his younger son, Christian, has a song coming out.
Yeah, Christian Combs is reportedly working with Ye on music.
Yeah, could be. This could be a marketing ploy. We've seen his children throughout. We've seen Justin. We've seen the twins earlier on and some of his other children there. So absolutely, it could be a marketing thing. We've seen them pop up. We have been in communication with Diddy's team as well, his publicists as well. So it could be a marketing ploy. Who knows?
Well, all I know is that Kanye has been widely condemned. He's lost a lot of his representatives, a lot of his business partners. And so I would imagine that would attract some unwanted attention. and might make it even harder for jurors to have any sort of sympathy towards Diddy. But we shall see in the coming weeks. But catch us up to what else has transpired just this week alone in the Diddy trial.
Yeah, I mean, Doc, really, it was all centered around the central figure in this trial. One of the central figures, of course, there was Cassie, but now we have this Jane Doe, who is Diddy's current girlfriend, most current girlfriend. She was with him up until August 2024, when right before he was arrested. And so, we've heard testimony from her. She testified for the past few days, just wrapping up her cross-examination today. And she said a lot. And I'm just kind of referring to my notes here because there's a lot that she said. She mentioned that Diddy would fly her to Turks and Caicos, would fly her to New York, Miami. 90% of the time, she says 90% of the time, she described them as hotel nights. So similar to Cassie, she described them as freak-offs. In a similar way, Jane Doe described them as hotel nights. And there was a pattern. The lights had to be, they typically were red. They had like dimly lit red lights. The rooms were stocked with baby oil. She said at some point there were 24 bottles of baby oil that they used per night. Her hair had to be up in either a ponytail or a bun. She also typically wore creamy white nails, those nails, off-white nails that women wear. And the escort would come in, she would disrobe, and she would then begin oral sex on whatever escort was hired for that evening. So yes, it's painting a similar picture of what Cassie pretty much said back in the earlier weeks of this trial. And it's interesting too, she also testified that she almost fainted when she heard Cassie's lawsuit. She said it was like reading her own story. And it was just shocking to her when the video came out. She said that she was with Diddy when the video came out. Of course, that CNN video that we all saw where, Diddy and Cassie are in a physical altercation. She said that she was at Diddy's house when this video came out, and Diddy formulated a statement apologizing. Of course, it's that video, that infamous video that he posted after the fact saying, I'm sorry, I messed up. This was a dark time in my life. And she said she didn't feel like it was enough. She didn't feel like it was genuine. And yeah, she pretty much said that it really upset her when she read that lawsuit that Cassie filed once all of this, the video came out. It really upset her. It was like reading her own story, and she just could not believe that it was happening to her too.
Wow. And so I hear that as establishing a pattern. And making it clear for jurors that no, it wasn't just Cassie, and who knows how many more women can relate to any part of this story. But we know that part of the hurdle that prosecutors have got to clear in these RICO charges is proving that there's a pattern here. That all of this amounts to a criminal enterprise. Now, what we've heard in reports in previous weeks is that, at least folks who've been observing the trial aren't convinced that prosecutors have quite cleared that hurdle. Are we starting to see the tides turn in that way?
Yeah, it's been a bumpy road, I think, for prosecutors. I mean, they have this burden to prove that, yes, there was an enterprise, the RICO charges, there was an enterprise, a criminal enterprise where Diddy went out and, did all of these crimes, hired sex workers to come have sex with them and coerced a lot of these women that he was with to have sex with these sex workers. And essentially it comes down to coercion, or were they specifically consenting to some of these sexual activities? And so that is the big question. And that is something that the jury really, I would not want to be a juror, because they're really going to have to sit there and think about it and go through the law. And we saw text messages. We heard and saw text messages from Jane Doe pretty much saying she, throughout this process, throughout these sexual encounters, she was saying, I'm horny for you. They would buy matching outfits and erection pills. Let's get down and dirty. Let's have a night where we can get slutty. So I can only imagine how confusing that could be, where on one end, you're seeing these text messages from Jane saying, let's have these nights. Let's have these, these wild nights that we typically have. Let's get drugged up. And then on the other hand, she's saying, I never wanted to do this. He's twisting my arm. He's threatening to take away my $10,000 per month rent payment. And, he's saying that I paid for your veneers, so you need to do what you need to do to make me happy. And so the jury has a lot to weigh here. And it's going to come down to, was this coercion or was this consent?
Oh my goodness, I paid for your veneers. What's the implication there? Is it that, if you don't do what I say, I may knock your veneers out? I mean, my goodness. I think it's worth noting that there are a number of folks out there that are trying to make the distinction between, okay, we get it. Diddy was a freak. Diddy had sexual proclivities that ran very deep and at times appeared to be very, very, very dark, right? But does that amount to a criminal enterprise? Does that clear the hurdle of this amounting to all the things that make a RICO charge a RICO charge? We'll continue to keep our eye on that in the coming weeks. But when we come forward, Justin, I want to ask you about some of the cultural implications of the trial thus far. I saw an interview that Tarana Burke, founder of the Me Too movement, had done recently, and it got me thinking about, what this trial means at its current state for the culture. What does it mean for the culture of music, for the culture of hip hop, for pop culture in general? And then I also want to remember Ananda Lewis. We lost Ananda Lewis this week to breast cancer. I want to give you a chance to weigh in and share your thoughts. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More with Justin Carter, senior correspondent for the Shade Room.
Striving to make America a nation as good as its promise. This is A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Founded in Los Angeles in 1986, litigation powerhouse Quinn Emanuel has deep roots in the Los Angeles community. Since 2007, we have litigated some of the largest fires on the West Coast. We are proud to be the only AmLaw 100 firm in the country to represent wildfire victims, giving affected individuals, families, and businesses the same focus and individualized attention we devote to our Fortune 500 clients. BTI Consulting has repeatedly recognized Quinn Emanuel as among the 4 law firms in-house counsel least like to oppose in any litigation, and we are often deemed the most feared. And after securing over $80 billion for our clients in various matters firm-wide, we understand why. If you have been affected by the recent wildfires in Altadena and the Palisades and would like to discuss your situation further, please contact wildfire support at QuinnEmanuel.com or call us at 213-443-3050. Quinn Emanuel is proud to sponsor Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text EQUAL to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text EQUAL to 321-321. That's EQUAL to 321-321.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. LA County's new Justice Care and Opportunities Department, or JCOD, is here to support justice-involved individuals and their families. The JCOD Support Center is now taking calls at 1-833-LACJCOD. That's 1-833-522-5263. Available 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., the Support Center is your one-stop shop for re-entry issues and court support. They offer court reminders, connections to local services, transportation assistance for housing, court appearances, and childcare. The JCOD hotline provides personalized help to connect you with services that you need. And don't forget to check out justiceconnect.org for more information. Remember, it's free and available every day at 1-833-522-5263. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Notable journalists, industry leaders, lawmakers, change makers, tastemakers, and you working to build a more perfect union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai, and he is Justin Carter, a senior investigative correspondent for The Shade Room. He has been covering the Diddy Trial and has not missed a beat. Justin, we've talked about some of the particulars, particularly this week during the Diddy Trial, but let's zoom out a little bit and let's talk about what the state of the trial means for the culture, for pop culture. We know that Tarana Burke, the founder of the Me Too movement, has been doing some interviews and opining on that. What say you about the impact that some of these nitty-gritty details are having on the culture of the music industry, hip hop, and beyond?
Well, I went to the BET Awards, some media events. I wasn't actually at the BET Awards on Monday. However, I did get to, kind of get the pulse of, how people were feeling about it. And, Kevin Hart said on the actual award show day during one of his skits, said, nobody go to any party, nobody go to any after parties tonight. That's off limits. Don't do that after the show. And, the cameras panned to the audience and it was so awkward. Everybody was like, ooh, not touching that, not getting into that. Everybody's face was like, from Keke Palmer to I don't think they panned to Carisha, but to Lizzo and SZA, and everybody was just like, this is off limits. So, we are honestly, Dr. Q, in real time, we're watching somebody who, at the height of his career, a lot of people looked up to Diddy, and we are seeing somebody that was so high up in our culture, just a part of our culture so much growing up, that now he is getting possibly taken down on a federal level. And so I think for the culture, there is a divide. I'm feeling like there's a divide between, people who are reading some of these details, are on the pulse of it, keeping up with it. And, specifically Black women who are reading this and saying, this is so disgusting. How could anybody do this to another woman? And then on the other hand, you have people that are like, where's the crime? You have people in our culture that are, saying, free Diddy. There's no crime so far. I'm not getting it. I'm not getting the RICO charges. I'm not getting the transportation of prostitution charges. Not getting the sex trafficking charges as well. So I feel like there is a divide within our culture and community. And so it's interesting to see, how people are divided about it. Almost similar to how it was with R. Kelly in a way. I was living in Illinois when R. Kelly was on trial, and you would be surprised how many people were on his side before he got convicted of what he did. And in a similar way, I'm saying the same thing.
And how many people are still playing R. Kelly music? I'm in New York City today. I was in Harlem for lunch today, and as I walked by the street corner, there were folks outside playing R. Kelly music. And I said, okay, wow, I haven't heard anybody playing R. Kelly music in a minute. And so I guess at least that particular corner here in Harlem today, folks we're rocking to some R. Kelly, but we also know that one of the big wild cards in this conversation around impact on the culture is whether or not Donald Trump, President Trump, chooses to pardon Diddy. That was if he were to be convicted on federal charges. The president has certainly weighed in and said it's something that he might consider. And so we have another wild card there. Justin, in our remaining minutes with you, I want to give you a chance to react to a colossal loss. Ananda Lewis, the pioneer who broke news as a former MTV VJ and activist. She has died at the age of 52 after a long battle with breast cancer. Her family, friends, and fans are grieving this trailblazer's death. How are you remembering the life and legacy of Ananda Lewis?
I mean, the quintessential like VJ, MTV VJ, Ananda Lewis was the it girl. Somebody that I looked up to even as a journalist in the earlier, days where I was thinking about, possibly getting into the media industry. Somebody that I of her of her and Aaliyah, and just two angels. It just looked like two angels, and it's been going viral of her and Aaliyah back in the day, probably in the late 90s. Beautiful women who of course were at the height of their careers, and it's just so sad to hear. Shout out to Ananda. Thank you for everything you've done for media, and even for me personally as somebody that I looked up to when I was young.
That's right. I mean, well said, both said. Ananda Lewis, she first announced that she was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2020. And at the time, she declined her doctor's recommendation for a double mastectomy, opting to keep her tumor and utilize homeopathic methods to flush it out. However, in 2024, she learned that her tumor had metastasized to stage 4 and spread. And so there are a number of women out there that where this will serve as a reminder of the multitude of treatment options. And, sometimes the most aggressive treatment options are not the preferred treatment options. I certainly have, family members who had tumors that would likely turn into breast cancer, who opted to do the total mastectomy. And that's not an easy decision for anyone. And everybody has their reasons for deciding on their course of action. But we're better in the news and information business because of folks like Ananda Lewis, who are connected to community, who use her platform to help us to be better and have fun doing it. And so that's certainly how I'm remembering Ananda Lewis as well.
Absolutely. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. She was very vocal about it. She did many, many interviews. She did interviews with CNN within the last few years. There's a couple CNN correspondents, Sarah Seitner, one of them, who also experienced, breast cancer as well. And she was really, really a light and really passionate about informing women, getting the mammogram. She got her mammogram. She did a self-exam, I believe, and got her mammogram late. So she was really passionate about driving that home. And we can learn a lot from her for sure.
Well, we can always learn a lot from Justin Carter. Our thanks to you, our the senior investigative correspondent for the Shade Room. Please keep us posted as things develop with the Diddy trial.
I will, Dr. Q. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. We're going to have to leave it there. My thanks to the entire village helps us produce a more perfect union, including our executive producer, Tavis Smiley, our sound engineer, Andy, our show producers, Faraji and Art, and of course, each and every one of you, all of our leaders, learners, and listeners. We curate the show each and every day with you in mind. And so in our quintessential fashion, we want to transition by reminding you, do what you can from where you are with what you have, but by all means, do something. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai. You've been listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.